Bad things happen in bad economic times. Sometimes the lesson to be learned is that the worst that can happen might prove to have been the best that could happen. You may have spotted them around town, a bit of whimsy for passers-by.
Our tube dudes they're the liaison of good feeling.
But where do these whimsical stick figures come from? Well, it all begins in a warehouse in Sarasota's historical district.
This is where all the magic happens.
Magic created by Scott Gerber, President Dude. He dreamed up the idea of the tube dude after being humbled by a sinking economy.
I was building world-class sport fishing yachts fueled by testosterone, and was in probably one of the most guarded, isolated bubbles anybody could ever live in.
When that bubble burst, Scott was forced to shut down his business and let go 60 employees.
It was a very, very hard time.
How do you jump from assembling hulls to inspiring a bit of happiness? Well, for Scott, it happened on the way to closing the company doors for good.
I can remember exactly where I was. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I stopped at a light, and something hit me in the back of the head. It felt like somebody had taken their finger and rubbed it up the back of my skull, and it said, "You're going to build a stick man today." It was the most original feeling, idea, concept that had ever entered my body. And yet it was so powerful, I knew I couldn't resist it. For the next 2 miles to work, I started designing this stick man in my head. I had no idea how I was going to do it, what I was going to make it out of. I just knew I was going to do it.
Scott shared his idea with his most skilled foreman, Laci Salanci. Now, being Hungarian, Laci wondered if something got lost in the translation.
Every once in a while, I have some, words that I don't know exactly what it means.
But soon he and Scott were building their first stick man out of scraps of aluminum tubing with Laci as the model.
That's why they are as tall as we are. That's how we started out.
5 hours later, the first stick man was born.
That 5 hours was the first break that I had had emotionally for probably 2 years.
Scott put the friendly stick man on his dock, and it quickly drew attention.
Well, I built this one tube dude for my enjoyment. It was my oasis of fighting the depression and everything. And everybody just fell in love with Stickman.
Ironic that Scott was able to muster up a symbol of high spirits at a time when his own self-esteem was at its lowest.
When your bag is empty, you're kind of like, what do I have to lose? You think about it, to create a smile, it's the easiest thing you can do.
Then one day his neighbor asked him to build her a tube dude to hold a mailbox.
And I thought, that's the craziest idea I've ever heard in my life.
But he built it anyway, with rather unexpected results.
Every day she would come home, there would be somebody parked alongside the road with their arm around her mailbox having their picture taken with it. She would get letters every single day, little notes that would say, "Thanks for making me smile, I love your mailbox."
Flattering, but Scott still saw his tube dude as a respite, not revenue. Then he had an idea.
I built 4 tube dudes that held their arms over their head, and they held signs. And they said things like, smile, be nice, say thank you.
He anonymously placed the dudes at busy locations with no intention of selling them. Then he observed people's reactions from afar.
One day I was close to St. Armand Circle. I heard this, "Aha, I gotcha," over my shoulder when I was putting the last dude in the truck. And I turned around, and it was a reporter for the Herald Tribune. And he said, "Who are you, and why are you doing this?"
The president dude was outed and a cover story written.
From that point, that was when Tube Dude got its legs and started running.
And the momentum continues. Tube Dudes are now in 35 states and 12 countries.
We've shipped to Australia, Poland, Norway, Germany, France. We have 6 different customers in England.
No two dudes are exactly the same. Each one is created from what Scott calls the customer's happiness aura.
And that's what creates the magic. They're an extension of the person's personality, who they are, what they want. People don't buy tube dudes to make them happy. They make tube dudes to make the people around them happy. If you buy a tube dude, you already get it. You understand the power of positive thinking, grin and bear it, whatever you want to call it.
The ideas are endless.
One of the more creative ones we've done is the parasail dude. We've done them sitting on the back of cars, sitting on Harley Davidsons. We did a mermaid.
The dude's effect? Contagious.
Everybody knows a smile, and especially a smile that's so simplistic. The only thing I put in Tube Dude was this big giant smile and these big bright eyes. And that's the only 2 things you need to convey that you're happy. It's all about the power of the smile.
The power of the smile. Understated, understood. And an expression that dramatically changed one man's life, figuratively speaking.